Hello, everyone. I'm Tracie Hall with Keller Williams Coastal, and I'm here today to talk to you about home inspections. So, I brought in Steve Machado from Win Home Inspections.
Hi, thank you. I'm Steve Machado, Win Home Inspections here in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Win is a national brand, just celebrated 30 years in existence. I'm the local franchisee. I have been in contracting, doing home renovation for several decades. Along with other things, I'm kind of a jack of all trades and about 3 years in the home inspection world now.
So, here in Rhode Island, we experience a lot of older homes. I mean, I just sold a place in Bristol that was 300 years old. We experience cold weather, and we also have properties here that have a propensity to have radon in the basement or in the water. What are some of the top things that you look for when you're doing home inspections?
Okay, well, yeah, we have a lot of older homes, and 300 is really old, but 100 is sort of not unusual here. And uh, in other parts of the country, if something's more than 50 years old, they start adding cost onto the home inspection. As older homes, just like with newer homes, the number one problem is always water. The one thing we have to be sure of is water. Water wrecks everything. Good roofs, good roof coverings, and then look for signs that they may have had real water problems in the past.
Mhm.
Now, the good news is if it's been here for 100 years, it's probably going to be here for another 100 years. I just had one. Matter of fact, my son just is closing on a 103-year-old home. I just did his inspection. So, when we got up into the attic area, I was able to show him, a 103-year-old home. The rafters in the attic are 100 times better than one
Mm.
that's built last year, because the wood in a 100-year-old home back then, the trees were 100 years old and it's much more
Okay.
dense. So if they weren't badly damaged by water over a
Hmm.
long period of time, that lumber is going to be much better.
Wow.
It's that lumber will outlast the lumber that went into a home that's built today.
So I know a lot of people are thinking about selling, and I often recommend a pre-inspection to people who've lived in their home a long time and they might not have maintained it well or they've let some things slide. What are some things sellers should look for in their home? And do you recommend a pre-inspection? That's what I call it.
That's what we call it too. And yes, I recommend a pre-inspection. And again, the things that they look for on their own, and we go right back to water damage, water issues. But a lot of times, water issues are not apparent to the untrained eye.
Right.
Things that I see is because I've been trained to see it. So a pre-inspection does a number of things. We First of all, we're going to find what what the inspector who for the buyer is going to find, and if there's things that one you believe that you'd rather repair before that,
Hmm.
you have a much more time to do so, and you can get a contractor, and you're going to spend less money probably on a contractor to fix something that you don't have to have done in the next 10 days or the next 20 days or 30 days. Or you can decide that you're not going to fix it. Now you've already can start talking to your realtor about what's that worth and how's that going to affect the pricing.
Yeah, it's always best to get
And
ahead of the issues, especially on a pre-home inspection, you know. And then what you don't get ahead of, you put it on your disclosure so
yes,
everyone knows what they're getting into. So I really want to talk about radon because I had some clients who were buying a brand new home in East Greenwich a few years ago, and it had a well. And I said, well, during your home inspection, first of all, the seller or the contractor was a little surprised we were even having a home inspection. And I said, of course we're going to have a home inspection, you know. You want to make sure everything's working properly. Well, and of course there was radon in the basement and in the water, and that had to be taken care of. And even the buyers were a little surprised that I pushed for the water test. And I said, of course, you want to know what's in the water. So They're really happy about that. Do you do radon?
Yes, we do
Okay,
radon. Every home everywhere in the United States should be tested for radon.
interesting.
Every home. Here in the Northeast, we have a prevalence of radon according to the radon maps, but that's only because the maps haven't been updated since 1956. The reality is there is radon everywhere. Two realities: there's radon everywhere. It's dangerous,
Hmm.
but it's also easy to mitigate.
Right.
So, people don't do things like, well, it's going to cost me $100,000. Well, no, it doesn't. I have continuous monitors. They go in, we do a 48-hour or 72-hour test. We get immediate readouts. If it's above the recommended level, then you contact a mitigation company. And the typical range is from 500 to a high of $2,500 to mitigate radon.
Your home inspection is the most important part of buying your new home. And I always advise all of my buyers to walk through the house with the home inspector. It's a great way to get to know your house, to get to know all the mechanicals, the issues. And most of the time, your home inspector will be able to tell you how everything can be repaired. So it's one of the most important parts of buying your new home. So, Steve, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
My phone number, 401-423-5566. On my web address
Okay.
is providence.wini.com if they want to take a look there. Somebody can actually go on and schedule if they prefer not to speak to humans. You can actually schedule it right on there. But I always really recommend that people call, even if you schedule it, call to talk to me about it, so we can customize what you need to do for a home once I take a look at it online and see what's what.
That's right. I hope this answered some of your questions about home inspections. And we look forward to hearing from you if you are interested in buying or selling your home.